Back in the late 60s and early 70s, the US was going through an automotive renaissance. Ford came out with the Mustang, the most popular American sports car of all time. You had Chevy with the Camaro and the Corvette, and of course you had the Dodge brothers. Dodge's cars were the embodiment of the term muscle car. They were big, loud, and most importantly, they were fast as hell. But the newest batch of American muscle is even faster, with Dodge leading the way with what can only be described as one hellish beast, the Dodge Demon 170.
Go out with a bang.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sean and today we're talking about American muscle. But before we dive right in, make sure to give this video a like by hitting that thumbs up button down below. Also, if you're new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all the new content. When it comes to American sports cars, you typically have two categories. You've got pony cars, which are typically more compact, highly styled coupes and convertibles with a sport-oriented setup. They're intended to be fast, but also have great handling for track use and spirited backroad driving. And then you've got muscle cars. These are typically big, loud, stupidly fast in a straight line. These days, there's really only one brand producing what is considered a true muscle car, and that's Dodge. The Mustang, the Camaro, the new mid-engine Corvette, they're all meant to be well set up for the track, which I'm totally on board with. That's actually more my speed anyway, but when it comes to cars that are meant to be rowdy, burnout, straight line monsters, it's all Dodge. I mean, look at takeovers right now, it's Hellcats everywhere. In order to understand how Dodge got to this point and became the rowdy car manufacturer that we all know and love, let's rewind just a few years. Back in the 80s, American sports cars were all but dead thanks to emissions regulations spurred on by the worldwide oil crisis. But with the reemergence of the muscle car in the mid-2000s, Dodge brought back their two most famous names, the Charger in 2006 and the Challenger in 2008. Revitalizing these cars and revamping the Hemi platform was the best thing that Dodge could have ever done. Yes, the first generations of these cars being brought back wasn't great, but they would take that starting point and they would crank it up to 11 over the next 10 to 15 years. Dodge leaned into their aggressive persona and dropped the Hellcat variants in 2015. These 6.2-liter supercharged power plants produced 707 horsepower, which was unheard of at the time. The Red-Eye variants make even more power at 797, in addition to the wide-body models, which are, of course, my personal favorites. I feel like the wide-body Chargers and Challengers just fit a bit better with a more modern style, and they allow you to run a wider tire under the fender flares to get the grip that these cars really deserve. In 2018, Dodge blew our minds when they released the original Demon and fully cemented themselves as the only car maker that's still producing true muscle cars. The Demon produced 840 horsepower and 770 foot-pounds of torque when running 100 octane race fuel. This thing was absolutely bonkers when it was announced, and the NHRA actually banned it from official sponsored drag events. But as a final send-off for the Challenger before it's discontinued at the end of this year, they wanted to give it one final special edition, the SRT Demon 170.
Everyone was writing stories about how SRT was dead, SRT was gone. This is still in us, this is exactly what we do, and we're gonna prove it to you.
Dodge started this press reveal by showing a bunch of old Dodge vehicles to showcase the history of the company. They were talking about the Hellcat engine and how it completely transformed their image. When you think back to the early 2000s, Dodge's reputation was like a mediocre Grand Caravan having, get me around town, Dodge Dart sedan driving dumpster of a company. And the revamping of their sports car lines turned it into a, yes please, I gotta get me one of them burnout machines. During the event, they had a whole gaggle of special guests, including Jay Leno, and it's really good to see that he's doing well after his accident. He's one of the OG car enthusiasts, so we like to see him doing good. Then the CEO, Tim Kuniskis, comes out, and anytime he unveils something, you know it's probably about to be pretty cool. They revealed that you can now have your Hellcat Red-Eye upgraded to 885 horsepower with a full factory warranty. Basically, you take your Red-Eye to any dealer that sells the direct connection parts, and they can install this package that gets you the extra performance. Then suddenly a helicopter shows up with a Challenger dangling from it. With new car unveilings, typically they pull the sheet off and say, hey, look at this pretty new thing we made. But Dodge said, we're not just going to show it to you. We're going to run it down the drag strip right here, right now, before your very eyes. They drop it from the helicopter, get it unhooked, run a burnout, and full send it down the strip. They even had this thing pre-prepped with the parachute setup. And by the way, the parachute setup is actually a factory option you can get through direct connection. This new Demon 170 is claimed to be the world's first production drag car that runs on ethanol. And this is kind of debatable since there have been many cars in the past that have run on ethanol, including everything set up for flex fuel. But I guess that making the distinction that this is the world's first mass-produced drag car specifically that runs on ethanol, I think we can let that slide. The 6.2 liter Hemi V8 comes with a 3 liter supercharger, which is bigger than the Red Eye's 2.7 liter blower, so this is a brand new, completely redesigned unit. This supercharger makes 22 pounds of boost, which on a fully built V8 makes plenty of power to get you scooting down the drag strip. Also, this engine is completely redesigned with new pistons, rods, a stronger crank, a bigger throttle body to help funnel all of that air into the engine, and that results in a power figure of 1,025 horsepower and a street-legal, mass-produced, emissions-regulated street car. They did not mess around with this car, and by doing all of this, they're showing that they took the development of this project very seriously. They wanted it not only to be stupid fast, but they wanted it to be reliable, and in doing so, they beefed up the drivetrain with a larger drive shaft, a bigger differential, and this yields in a drivetrain 50% stronger than the original Demon. When it comes to drag racing, it's all about your 60-foot times, and this thing is doing a 60-foot in the range of 1.2 seconds. If you don't know much about drag racing, this is stupidly fast for a production vehicle. Also, it does 0 to 60 in 1.66 seconds, which is faster than even some of the best electric cars out there right now. But don't forget that this is on a prepped track surface. They got the sticky grippy laid down, they put fire on it, but still 1.66, 0 to 60 is insane. This thing puts down over 1,000 horsepower when run on ethanol, which is crazy to think about how far we've come in engine development in such a short time. 20 years ago, 1,000 horsepower would have been damn near impossible, not reliable at all, and absolutely not an option from a production car from the factory that has to be mass produced. To wrap up the reveal, we love to see how Dodge has fully leaned into the perception of the brand. They're not trying to be Ford or Chevy. They know what their market is, they're owning it, and they're doing it better than anybody else. But that's gonna wrap it up for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave me a comment down below your thoughts on the new Dodge Demon 170, and how do you feel about Dodge's future in the industry? We've already seen the new all-electric Dodge Daytona, so do you guys think that they'll stay on track with their straight line performance, but just with a shift to electric power? Let me know. If you enjoyed this video, then smash that like button down below, subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date on all the new content, or if you want to follow my Turbo K24 swap Subaru BRZ build, and until next time, build your dreams. Pause for emergency vehicles. Dodge's cars were the embodiment of the term muscle car. They were big, loud, and most importantly, they were bad to them.